Did you know that the tribe of Levi was the only tribe in Israel that didn't receive a territorial inheritance in the Promised Land? Instead, their inheritance was in the Lord Himself. Today we're diving deep into the details of Numbers chapters 18 and 19. In chapter 18, we'll explore the unique role and responsibilities of the Levites and the priests. Then we'll unravel the unique and somewhat mysterious details of chapter 19, which focuses on the rituals of the red heifer and the cleansing from defilement. I'm Ronald. Welcome to Romans 9:20. Let's open our Bibles and unpack these fascinating chapters together. Numbers 18 explains how the priests, Aaron's family, and the Levites, the rest of the tribes, how they were to serve in the tabernacle. God chose the Levites to help the priests, and in return, they receive a portion of the people's offerings, a tithe. The priests then got a share of that portion. This chapter shows how God set up a system for religious work and made sure that those who serve were taken care of. It's about God choosing people for specific roles, the importance of supporting those who serve Him, and keeping worship organized. Verses 1 to 4, the Lord addresses Aaron, his sons, and the house of Levi, stating their responsibilities for iniquity connected with the sanctuary and the priesthood. The Levites are appointed as a gift to Aaron and his sons to assist in the tent of meeting. A strict boundary is established, and the Levites are forbidden from approaching the holy vessels or the altar, lest they die, and the priest dies as well. This establishes a clear distinction in their roles and the level of access to the most sacred elements. God tells them all this in an effort to spare them the wrath that He has to pour out when they rebel against Him. Verses 5 to 7, the specific duty of the Levites is reiterated to Aaron and the entire congregation, keeping the charge of the tent of meeting. The priestly service remains exclusively for Aaron and his sons, and any unauthorized person who comes near the sanctuary is warned of the consequences of death, emphasizing the sanctity of God's presence. Verses 8 to 19, this section details the provisions made for the priests. Now the Lord grants the holy contributions to Aaron and his sons as their portion and a perpetual due. Additionally, every firstborn that is redeemed belongs to the priest. However, unclean animals are to be sold, with the redemption price going to the priest as well. This comprehensive system ensures the financial support of the priesthood, enabling them to dedicate themselves fully to their sacred duties. The covenant of salt forever emphasizes the permanence of this agreement. In verses 20 to 24, here, the Lord clarifies that the Levites will have no territorial inheritance among the Israelites, just as Aaron and his sons did not. Instead, their inheritance is the tithe from all of Israel. And then we see in 25 to 32, this final section outlines the Levites' responsibility regarding the tithes that they receive. They are commanded to present a tithe from the best part of all that they receive, and this act of giving back acknowledges God as the ultimate provider and reinforces the principle of offering the best. When the Levites have presented this portion, the remainder of the tithe is considered their provision, just as the grain from the threshing floor and the fullness from the winepress are for the others. They and their households can eat it anywhere, as it is their compensation for their service in the tent of meeting. This ensures that the Levites are also provided for through the system of tithing. Now, the core message of Numbers chapter 18 centers on the divine appointment of the individuals for specific roles within the community of faith and the corresponding responsibility of the community to support those who dedicate themselves to spiritual service. This principle holds relevance for our modern society in supporting those in ministry. The emphasis on order and distinct roles can encourage us to recognize and appreciate the diverse gifts within any community. Chapter 19 of Numbers details the ritual of the red heifer, used for purification from death's defilement in the Old Testament. It describes the selection, sacrifice, and burning of the heifer with its ashes, creating water of purification. This highlights the seriousness of the ritual, impurity, and God's provision for cleansing, emphasizing His holiness, the pervasiveness of defilement, and His mercy in restoring the community. This chapter focuses on the laws pertaining to death and being clean afterward. This is timely, not just because of all the deaths that have happened recently in the camp, but also because we're at the onset of roughly 2 million people dying in the camp over the next 38 years. They need to know how to handle this. Now, verses 1 and 2, the Lord instructs Moses and Aaron regarding the statutes of the red heifer without blemish or defect. The specific requirements emphasizes its unique and symbolic role. Then verses 3 to 6, the heifer is to be given to Eleazar, the priest, slaughtered outside the camp and its blood sprinkled. The heifer is to be burned completely with cedar wood, hyssop, and scarlet yarn. This thorough burning signifies a complete and radical act of purification. And then going on to verses 7 to 10, the priest and the one who burns the heifer becomes unclean until evening, and a clean person gathers the ashes for the water of purification. And that person then, gathering the ashes, also becomes unclean until evening. Verses 11 to 13, anyone touching a dead body becomes unclean for 7 days. Purification involves washing with the water on the 3rd and 7th days. And failure to purify defiles the tabernacle and results in being cut off. This emphasizes the seriousness of ritual impurity and the necessity of following the ordained cleansing process to maintain fellowship within the community and with God. Verses 14 to 16 details instances of defilement within a tent where death occurs. Like open vessels in the tent also becomes unclean. Touching a dead body, bones, or a grave in the open field also causes uncleanliness. Verses 17 to 19, the purification process involves mixing ashes with fresh water. A clean person sprinkles this water with hyssop on the affected areas and the people on the 3rd and 7th days. Then this person, being cleansed, washes and bathes on the 7th day to become clean in the evening. Then verses 20 to 22, the final section reiterates the severe consequences for failing to purify oneself after contact with the death. The person sprinkling the water and anyone touching it becomes unclean until evening. Anything an unclean person touches also becomes unclean until evening. This highlights the contagious nature of ritual impurity and the importance of adhering to the prescribed cleansing rituals. In Numbers chapter 19, God gives instructions for a specific cleansing ritual. If someone touches a dead body, they become unclean and needed to be purified. And to do this, they would burn a perfectly red cow completely, collect its ashes. These ashes would then be mixed with water to create a cleansing water. Someone who was clean would use this water to sprinkle it on the person who was unclean. And this happened on the 3rd and 7th days after touching the dead body. This ritual was a way to show how serious it was to be unclean and how God provided a way for becoming clean again, that they could be part of the community. Basically, it's about a special way to get clean after being around death. Now, thank you so much for joining me today as we explore the significant details of Numbers chapters 18 and 19. I hope that this breakdown has offered valuable insights. Hopefully, it provided a bit of a deeper understanding. Please consider leaving a comment with your reflections and sharing it with others who might find it enlightening. Until our next study, may you be richly blessed.